Hi, I'm Jo. I'm a physio. I'm also a Pilates instructor, and today we're going to go through some exercises for anyone that wants to work on their bone density or bone health. So that's looking at particularly women who might be approaching that perimenopause to menopausal era, but also anyone that is postmenopausal. These are the exercises that are the best ones for you guys to do. So let's get started. We're going to start with some calf raises, and I've brought a stool in here today to use for a little bit of balance. So you don't have to use it if you don't want to, but I'm going to use it just one hand on there. We're going to stand with our feet hip width apart and then nice and tall into our body. We're really thinking about putting pressure through the knuckle of our big toe as we're lifting up into the air, and then we're lowering back down. The big thing with calf raises is a lot of people like to almost sway forward and then come back and do quite a rocking motion like that, which we don't get quite as much out of the exercise when we're doing it that way. So really thinking about putting pressure through the knuckle of your big toe as we're lifting up, and it's a very vertical lift as we're going rather than propelling ourselves forwards and then back. So going to keep going. We're aiming for 10 in total, so if you're a bit quicker than me and already there, feel free to stop and have a little bit of a rest, but otherwise we'll do a couple more. Up onto your tiptoes, back down again, 2 and 1. The next one that we're going to do is going into some squats. So we're going to go feet slightly wider than hip width apart, and we're going to angle our feet out slightly. This doesn't matter too much, but it can be a little bit more comfortable, especially if you have any knee issues. From here, I'm going to imagine that there's a stool behind me. I'm going to push my hips back towards that stool, knees come wide, sitting down into it, and then straight back up. So we're going to do 10 squats, 2, 3, really focusing on bum comes back as your chest comes forward. As we're doing that, if you are experiencing any knee pain as you're doing it, maybe just reduce the depth of the squat that you're doing, but really make sure those knees are coming wide and that we're not going not knee at all, because that often is a big source of pain. It can also be a source of pain if you've got any sort of gluteal tendinopathy, hip issues out on the side here. Let's do 2 more. 2 and 1. The next one we're going to go into is some jumps. So that should have warmed our legs up a little bit. Now we're going to go feet again, slightly wider than hip width apart. Small bends, so go into a small squat, arms back, and little jump up, nice soft landing. Swing our arms back, little jump up. So from side on, this is what we're looking at. So we're going to aim for 10 of these little jumps. And if this one isn't feeling good for you, or if you don't feel confident doing it, then feel free to just go back to the squats that we were doing before, or you might want to go 1 jump into 1 squat, 1 jump into 1 squat, to just space it out a little bit more. But if you can, try and continue on with these jumps. Let's do 2 more. 1 and 2. And again, I'm now going to show you the next level up to work on our bone health. This might not be for you, but if it is, we'll try and do it. I brought in a little footstool today. So this is just 25 centimeter stool from Kmart that I use in my kitchen for those high cupboards. But we're going to use that to stand on it. Make sure you're nice and confident standing on it and it's nice and sturdy underneath you. Then what we're going to do is feet nice and flat on that stool. I'll have my toes curling over the top. We're going to step forward and land. Come back behind that stool, up onto that stool. Let's go opposite foot this time. Step forward and land with soft knees. As I'm landing, I'm really pushing those knees out wide and trying to absorb that body weight as I'm coming down. So we're going to do a couple more of these. Again, if this isn't feeling good for you, that's fine. We can build up to it. You can return to either those squat jumps that we were doing before, or just continue with your squats. Obviously, rest as you need to. I'm going from one to the next and powering through. nice soft landing. We're going to do 2 more, so 1 more on each foot that we're leading with. So leading with my left, drop and catch. I might do this one from side on. So as we're doing it, leading with my foot, drop and catch as we're doing it. We're now going to increase the demand of this one. And this is where we really get specific into good loading for our bone health. So when we're doing this next exercise, we're looking at 2 to 3 times our body weight that's going to go through our bones, which is really what we want to get that bony adaptation from exercise, particularly if you do have low bone density, so things like osteopenia or maybe even osteoporosis. So the next one we're going to do is called a drop jump. We're going to do what we just did, so we land in front, but then we're going to go straight up into a vertical jump afterwards. So foot out in front of you, drop into a jump, and then we go again. So again, I'm going to lead with the other foot this time. Foot out in front, drop, straight up into a jump. I'm just going to turn my stool around so I can face you again. So again, foot out in front, drop, jump. One more time. Foot out in front, drop, and jump. All right, we're going to have a little bit of a rest from that. That's a lot of squatting and jumping all in a short period of time. We're going to then go on to a few arm exercises that can help with our bone density. So I've brought one of my resistance bands. Fortunately, I didn't have anything lighter with me at home today. If you have seen a physio in the past, then I would be grabbing a yellow or a red band to use for this one today. If you've got bands from Kmart, Rebel, anywhere else, depends what color is, but I would choose a light to medium band for these exercises. So the first one we're going to do is you're going to hold that band about 10 centimeters apart in each hand. Lock your elbows into your side, really wide through your chest, so puff that chest out, elbows are in by your side, tool through the crown of your head, and then we're going to pull our hands away from each other. Pause, and then slowly let them come back in. So it's quite a small movement that we're working on here. Pulling out, pause, slowly back in. But it's an excellent exercise for your rotator cuff. Often we have a lot of issues in our rotator cuff as we start to age. It's really common to get tears in there, and this is an excellent exercise to help with that. It also puts quite a bit of strain through our shoulders, through our forearms, so again can work on that bone density in those areas. Where you should be feeling this exercise is right up through here, or you might feel it through here a little bit. You shouldn't be feeling into your neck at all. If you are feeling it into your neck, it might be because you're shrugging into it slightly. So just thinking about relaxing those shoulders down, wide through your collarbones, and then we pull out. The other common thing that a lot of people like to do is flap their elbows out. So almost imagining that you've got your newspaper, pop that in underneath your arm like you're collecting it from your driveway, and don't let that newspaper fall away. So keep those elbows locked into your side, because we're working on that rotation aspect of the upper part of our arm through here. That's the movement we're doing. So we'll do a couple more of these. Let's do 5 more of these, depending on how quickly you've been doing them as I've been talking and how sore your arms are. So again, feel free to stop, rest, pick that exercise back up as you can. 3 more, 3, 2, and 1. Perfect. All right, the next one we're going to do is another arm exercise. We're going to do some shoulder presses. And again, I don't have any weights with me at home, but I'm looking around the house for things that I can use. And I've got these cartons of coconut water. They're 1 litre, so they're roughly 1 kilo each. And they're quite nice to hold on to, so it's a nice prop to use to add a little bit of weight into our exercises. When we're doing shoulder press, it depends on what your mobility of your shoulder is like. So this is a good exercise for anyone who can reach up above their head and wants to get stronger at things like putting things away in high cupboards. The other good thing about this exercise is when we're holding weights above our head, it also puts pressure down through our spine. So it works on strengthening the bone density of the upper part of our spine, our thoracic spine as well. So when we're doing our shoulder presses, we're going to curl those cartons up towards our shoulders, and then keeping the lower half of our body nice and still, we're going to push them up towards the ceiling and then back down towards our shoulders. Up towards the ceiling, down towards our shoulders. Up and down. Up and down. Well done. We're going to work through 5 more of these. Good. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Perfect. If we want a challenge for this exercise and we want to progress it a little bit more, this is how we can add on to it. So we're going to hold those cartons up above our head, nice and tall. Feet are slightly wider than hip width apart. We're going to go into a small squat, keeping those weights above our head, and back up again. Small squat and back up again. This is what it looks like from side on. So it doesn't have to be a low squat here. It's all about keeping that weight up above our head. Stay long into your neck, so no shrugging of your shoulders to keep it up there. Poke your bum back like you're about to go sit on the toilet, and then back up again. If you are feeling any discomfort in your lower back when you're doing this, bring your arms down. We can also do it just holding your weights at your chest when you're doing it as well. So that would look like this as well. They don't have to be above your head if it's causing you any sort of discomfort. Perfect. So they're my favorite exercises to start working on bone density for anyone that has that issue and wants to be working on it. And then what we can do is create a bit of a circuit into those exercises as well. So we go through each one of those exercises and then we repeat it all again, which is what we're going to do right now. So we're going to go back to those calf raises that we started with. So again, holding onto something for balance if you do need it. Feet about hip width apart when we're doing it, rising up onto our tiptoes and back down, really thinking about being as vertical as possible and then floating back down. We're doing 10 of these. I've done 3 so far. 4, 5, thinking about not splaying those ankles outwards. Really push through the knuckle of your big toe as we're coming up and down and doing them. We've got 2 more to go. 2 and 1. The next one we went into was our squats. So we're going to go feet slightly wider than hip width apart and angle your feet out slightly. This one's going to be a bit deeper than what we were just doing. And back up again. 10 of these. 2, 3, 4. Keep your knees nice and wide, trying to resist that urge to let them collapse in towards each other. 7, 8, 9, and 10. Perfect. Now, this is when we bring we go do the jumps first. So next up is those jumps. We're going to go 10 jumps. If you want to keep squatting for this, then by all means just do another 10 squats. But otherwise, for everyone else, we can either do 10 jumps or 5 jumps, 5 squats. Up to you. So down, up, and soft landing. Up, soft landing. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. There we go. Now we're bringing in our little prop. So in comes the little footstool from Kmart. Up onto that stool, we're going to drop down and just sink into that squat to begin with. So I'm going to go left foot first, stick it out, drop down and sink. Then we come back around to the back and do our other side. So we're going to go 5 each leg. Drop and sink. Take your time with this one. No need to rush. Don't trip over the stool as you're coming back around to the back of it. The other option is you could turn back around, face the stool each time and jump from either side. But for the sake of seeing my face and not seeing my bum when we're doing these exercises, I'm going to keep facing the camera and walking back around it. There we go. I think we've got one more each leg that we're going to be doing. So hobble that leg, drop down and squat. And again, if you are just doing squats, that's perfect. It's nice and strong. What you can do is add some of those weights to the squats if you feel capable of doing so. But if you're happy just doing the squats itself, by all means do it. Make sure you're having a nice rest in between each one as well. All right, next one, and this is the most challenging one of the set, is that drop jump. So we're standing up onto that step, coming down, bouncing straight back up. And we're only going to do 5 of these today. So hovering that foot out, down and jump. I said 5, I'm going to keep it even on both feet. So let's do 6 in total. Foot out, drop and jump. That's 2. Make sure you're nice and steady before we do it. Out, drop and jump. And I'm keeping my hands on my hips. You don't need to do that. By all means, get those arms swinging as you're doing it. Drop and jump. I think we've got one more each leg to go. You'll work out pretty quickly that I'm an awful counter. And I take lots of guesstimates when I'm teaching classes. But I try and keep it as even as possible when I am doing it. There we go. That's the end of our squats and drop jumps. Then we've got our band next. So grab your band again. These were our shoulder external rotations. So once you've got your band, holding it about 10 centimeters apart, lock those elbows into your side, wide through your chest. So making sure we're not curling forward when we're doing the exercise. Pop that chest down. Pull apart, keep those elbows in, slowly back in. We're going to do 10 of these. Pulling out, pause, slowly back in. And this is a real shoulder burner that you don't need to do too many of them to really get it firing. But you'll notice that if you do this consistently, so twice a week, maybe 3 times a week, you'll start noticing strength in those shoulders and maybe a bit of a reduction in pain if you do have pain in those shoulders. It's a really efficient way to exercise our rotator cuff. It's good bang for our buck in terms of exercise. And again, I've completely lost count of how many we're doing. Let's do 2 more. 1 and 2. And I really regret using a blue band. That's way too heavy for me, but we made it through. Last one was our shoulder presses. So again, finding a weight that feels appropriate to you. If you do have weights at home, some dumbbells, fantastic. If you don't, you do not need them. Find something that is a good weight for you. So like I said, 1 litre is about 1 kilo. These are nice and easy to hold, but the same thing works if you're using cans of tomatoes. You can use wine bottles. You can use juice cartons. 2 litres is about 2 kilos. Whatever you find useful. All right. Nice and wide through our chest, long into our neck. Push them up to the ceiling. Let them come back down to your shoulders. So 10 of these. 2, 3, 4. Nice work. 5. We're halfway. Good. Keep that length in your neck. And keep that nice smooth rhythm. Trying to stay symmetrical between both arms. Good. We've got 2 more to go. 9 and 10. Now, option here, we can either keep them up above our head, you can hold them down to your chest, or you can pop them down completely, but we're going to do that overhead squat like we did before. So if you're going to go up above your head, feet slightly wider than hip width apart and feet angled out slightly, nice and long, but not shrugging, not sinking into ourselves. Try and keep that length there when we are doing it. Small squat, power back up. Bum goes back, then we drive up through our heels. That's 3. Might look like this. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2 more, 9, last one, 10. Perfect. So that's 2 rounds of those exercises. That's where I'm going to leave you today. If you do want to rewind and go through all of those one more time, then by all means do so. In terms of recommendations for the exercise, we would normally recommend people go 3 to 4 sets of all of those exercises, but again, ease yourself into it, make sure they feel comfortable, make sure you recover well after them as well before we increase too much into it. Let me know how you go. See you later.